this is something the trans community does not want to talk about.
Now, bottom surgeries, these are huge money makers. Again, I think this has to be an underestimate that they're quoting around $20,000 for a phalloplasty. There's been different things that I've read that said it could be up to $100,000. Dr. Winokur, who's our surgeon, says that there's entire clinics where the entire clinic is supported just by their phalloplasties, and that is like a fraction of the surgeries that they're doing. These surgeries are labor intensive, they require a lot of follow-ups, they require a lot of OR time, and they make money. They make money for the hospital.
Okay, so we're going to get into this today. I've been holding off on this because I think that some people just want to keep things hidden in the trans community, and I didn't really want to get involved in drama. If an adult wants to do something to their body, they should be able to do it. I don't know. I guess I have mixed feelings about that. Like, if an adult wants to cut off their arms and legs, should we let them do it? Or would we say, wait a minute, something's not right here. We need to, back up a minute. I kind of feel the same way with what they call phalloplasty, which is bottom surgery, which is the surgery to get a penis for a female to male trans person. It wasn't something that was done a lot when I was transitioning over 30 years ago. And for a while there, it wasn't really being done a lot. But I have seen an upswing in it with the invention of TikTok and other trans men talking about it as if it is a good surgery, when I know it is not a good surgery. And I will tell you that I see more people who wish they didn't get it than people saying that it's the best thing that they ever did for themselves, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to get pushback from the trans man community. I don't really care. I just don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care. This is a service to the young trans people out there who are even thinking about getting this surgery. I have lived a long life without that surgery. Dysphoria sucks. It's not fun, okay? But you got to realize there are some things you can do and some things you cannot do. And I'm telling you right now, you can live your life perfectly fine without getting that surgery. And in my opinion, that surgery should never even be on the table. If you remember the guy I interviewed named Scott Nugent, he has so many complications from it. He has been raising awareness around it. Yet there these doctors are. It's an experimental surgery. And they're just like they're experimenting on kids. They're experimenting on these young trans men who are females who want to get a penis. Now, thanks so much for liking and subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for all the awesome comments. And this is going to be a little bit of a graphic. I think there's not so much graphic stuff. I think there's more kind of just take care of yourself. Some of the stuff these people say, it can be a little bit much, I think. So I just want to give you that little bit of warning there. But I think you can handle it, and I think it's very important. So with that, let's move on to this next video.
I am a reconstructive urologist, and while I do not do gender assignment surgery, I do a lot of reconstruction, and in my training I did a lot of reconstruction on the urethra and on the pelvic floor. And I think it's important to know that with phalloplasty, with constructing a urethra, that is a procedure that is fraught with many complications potentially. It is very tricky to recreate a urethra.
There you go.
You don't think about your urethra until something goes wrong with it. But the tissue that's used the tissue that makes up the urethra is very specialized. It's got glands that lubricate. It has special properties that allow it for the passage of urine through that. And if you think about a phalloplasty where you're creating a penis out of other tissue and then creating a urethra, there are many different complications that can occur, such as scarring and strictures. And there are studies showing that strictures are very common.
Yep.
And what that means is that it makes it very difficult to urinate and requires numerous procedures to open up the stricture, to dilate it with a series of metal rods, or to reconstruct it. So it's deciding to do a phalloplasty, to go from female to male and create that urethra, is committing yourself to years of monitoring the urethra, working on the urethra, dealing with urethral complications and numerous surgeries and procedures. So it's something that needs to be entered into very cautiously and wisely.
Thank you.
And something that is going to be a huge commitment with a lot of pain and potential infection, which could spread to your kidneys and throughout your body.
Wow.
As well as numerous other things that can go wrong.
Thank you.
So just something I think you should know as you're thinking through doing gender reassignment, gender transition.
That's a real medical professional. That person cares. Okay, they're not telling you, oh, you shouldn't do this, it's weird. They are actually telling you the truth. I again repeat also, I don't know if you remember, I did one, I'll put the links to the video I did of a young kid who went through all this. He was like 20 years old. He ended up dying from all of that, from kidney failure, from all of this insane infections he got. Nobody would help him. The doctors who did it to him were literally ignoring him. The same thing happened to Scott Nugent. I mean, all of these people, so many of these young people say that they're not getting great aftercare, all of it. It's an experimental surgery. And I just can tell you that, thank you, God, that I never did it. I'm not telling you that I wish I didn't have one. Of course, that was part of my dysphoria. But I just saw the things back in the day that I was like, no way is it worth all of that surgery, hours of complications, years of complications, if not forever. It's just, they take a flap. They take a flap of your skin off of your forearm to create the phallus. And there's just all these things that they take from your body to create this thing that I don't get it. I actually don't get it. So I hope that some young trans guy is watching me right now. You don't need it. You do not need it. Some things you're just going to have to deal with not having for the rest of your life. It's serious. It's not worth it. It literally is not worth it, in my opinion. So now, as she told you, you're going to have a lot of complications. Your urethra, they have to create a whole new one, right? For you to urinate out of. So that's a whole other complication. Think about creating a penis. It's like a very difficult surgery that they don't even have down. It's different to create a vagina than it is to create a penis. And so now I'm going to show you a trans guy, okay, that says something completely opposite of what she was a nurse, I think. She's a nurse, told you, okay, who deals with this stuff on a daily basis, okay? And I didn't feel like she was being transphobic. I think she was being very authentic and helpful.
Two most common complications when it comes to phalloplasty has to do with the urethra. One is a stricture, which is the narrowing of the urethra, and one is a fistula, which is a small hole in the urethra. They're relatively easy fixes and usually just need a catheter in for a longer time.
They're relatively easy fixes, and you only need a catheter in for that is just not true. Are you going to believe this person, or are you going to believe an actual nurse who actually works with urethras on a daily basis? I'm gonna go with the nurse. I am. I'm gonna go with the medical people who have nothing vested in it. This person has something vested in it because he got that surgery. So relatively easy. What does that even mean? Do you know what a catheter? I don't know if any of you out there has ever had a catheter. It is not fun. It does not feel good. It is horrible. I see guys here who have had catheters in for a year. Like what? Because they have to get them in and out because they're constantly having infections and UTIs and all kinds of stuff going on with themselves. So the audio on that is a little funky because I had to take the music out for copyright, but I think you can understand him, I hope.
I had multiple strictures, so for me, they took a graft of healthy tissue from behind my ear to replace where the stricture had formed. Another common donor site is from the cheek inside the mouth, and it's called a buccal graft.
Wow.
For more about my phalloplasty or my transition in general.
Wow. So he had to have it done by taking more chunk of something out of his ear and another thing here and another thing, acting so nonchalant about it. Just totally like it's normal to have all of these surgeries, and it's like relatively like that, that's the stuff and why I'm exposing this, because they are not being honest with you. They are not being honest with you. You don't want to keep going in the hospital to have surgery after complication it ruins your life. It actually ruins your life. I don't even like being sick, let alone going to the hospital every month or two or year, because you have another infection. So the next one I'm going to bring up.
What up, y'all? It's Jay here. I had phalloplasty in August, about 4 months ago. As you can see, everything is healing up pretty nicely. It looks good.
Wow.
It looks good. I'm just getting on here to talk about a complication that I've had since getting surgery, and that'd be my fingers. Basically, it kind of started out as my cuticles, like being a little bit swollen and tender. And then it's progressively gotten worse since then.
What is it?
Basically, when I brought it up to my surgeon's attention, they said that they didn't really know what was going on and just kind of brushed it off.
Wow.
It's only gotten worse since then.
Okay,
so I ended
great.
up going to see a hand surgeon specialist, their office, and they basically said that it was a pyrogenic granuloma. I think that's
So the guy's just gonna go in to get a routine penis, and then it ends up complications, said it plurally, and now his hand is now something going on with his hand, and the doctors don't even know what that is. Oh my God. Wow.
That's the name of it. And then they did a silver nitrate treatment to it, which basically is like this long stick. It looks like a match, but you like get it wet, and they put it on the stuff that was coming out of my freaking cuticle.
Oh my God.
They put it on there, and then it like turned everything black and like basically burned off what looks
What?
It looks kind of like this. They burned it off, and so now
What is it?
it's fallen off, and it still looks like this. And now my fingernails, if you can see,
Gross.
they're like peeling at the base. These two, and then these ones look like this. Is anybody else like? Am I okay? Like, what's going on? Anybody
Yeah.
else experience this? It's been 4 months. 4 months. 4 months. And this is what I've got. I don't know. And nobody seems to know what's going on. No one knows, like,
They don't.
why this is happening. They've never seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a loss. Like, I don't know. Please comment if you've had anything like this, experienced anything like this. Do you know anybody that has had anything like this happen? Please comment and give me some direction. I have
Wow.
an appointment next Monday to, I guess, hopefully surgically remove the whatever's in here. I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do.
Oh, I feel so bad for these dudes. I'm sorry, dude, man. You guys don't deserve this. You don't deserve this. It's like, I just wonder, like, what are the steps to even get phalloplasty? I don't think there's long-term mental health. I think you can be saying, I want phalloplasty, and as long as you got insurance or money, you get to have phalloplasty. I also wonder why within the trans male community they aren't being more honest about this. It takes, it just takes a lot to talk about this. And I'm pretty sure of it. But at the same time, why are people sort of telling guys to get this surgery when it's clearly a complete total mess? And not only the physical pain, but the mental pain that you will now have to deal with for the rest of your life, because I'm sure you're pretty at a loss for any sexual interaction after this goes haywire. And again, what is happening? I really feel like it's some kind of experimental phase to use more to like figure out it doesn't work. What?
So, y'all, I have not spoken to y'all probably since like March or whatever. So, yeah, I'm gonna just give y'all a whole month of a rundown, because as y'all know, I had AOT phalloplasty March 7, 2024, and ever since then I've been having like literally straight complications every week.
Wow.
Every week.
Wow.
I've had a total of 4 surgeries, 2 emergency surgeries, and 2 of them scheduled surgeries. I recently just had my 4th emergency. Well, no, fourth surgery, as in 2 days ago. And that one is 1 out of 2 of the emergency ones.
Wow.
And I just got released from the hospital today. Right. So, yeah. So, I'm going to give y'all a little rundown. So, as you guys know, I had surgery March 7th, okay? You guys also knew that I had to go to rehab after that. So, I had surgery March 7th.
So if you look at his arm, he's got this bandage. That's from the donor site where they have to take the skin. You'll see. I have another guy on here. You're going to see more of it. How they literally have to rip a flap of skin off your forearm in order to create the phallus.
I got released, I think, March 15th. March 15th, I got released to rehab because I was going to start treatment there, learn how to rewalk and all that extra shit. Right.
What?
March 15th, got released to rehab.
Oh, yeah, that's part of the surgery. You have to learn how to re-walk. Yeah, I said that. You have to learn how to re-walk after you get the phallus put on because it's so traumatizing in that area that everything is just a mess.
If you guys ever been to Chicago, y'all know them fucking potholes is horrible. So that was the worst ambulance ride to rehab ever in life. But arriving to rehab, I was only there for 2 days. So I got released Friday. I was only there Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I had to go back to the hospital because my groin area where my penis is was like real heavy. It was like real heavy. It like my bladder felt like 20 pounds. So I had to go back to the hospital. Turns out I caught an infection. Don't know how I caught it. They don't know how I caught it because I literally just got out. Everything in the hospital was sterile. Literally everything, to my knowledge. I honestly don't think everything in the ambulance and everything in rehab was sterile. So that's how I think I got it. So yeah, ended up back in the hospital for the infection. That was March 19th. Literally just got released. No.
This guy has like 4 parts to this thing because he keeps going in and out and in and out. He's over it. He's literally over the fact that he went and did this to his body and everyone just let him do it to his body. Like, why would they just let him do this to his body? I'm just speechless. I will say it again. I did not have that surgery 30 years ago, and I have lived a fulfilling life. I have 1 surgery, okay? 1. I had a complication with hormones because that's just how it's going to be. Okay, that could be prevented. And I have taught young people how to prevent that. Yet that's a whole other conversation we to have because I get called transphobic and all kinds and a liar. So this community is so insane that they perpetuate these lies within this community. And then these kids get stuck and caught in it. And then they do these insane non-functioning surgeries. And then their whole life, literally, your whole life is ruined for the rest of your life. For the rest, not mentally and physically. I'm so over it and disgusted by this whole thing. So this guy I'm going to bring up next, he has a whole, talks about an update in his life and but it's pretty much all the normal stuff. Like I've been hormones and he looks great. He just, looks like a dude, like whatever. Looks like everything's working out fine. And then he gets into the fact that, his hair is balding, which is one of the side effects. And that's going to have to deal with that. And it's not all roses, friends, to transition. There are things that happen to your body that you're like, what? Like, yeah, that's a fact. So you better really be prepared for this when you do it. It's not just like, whoa, everything is so trans joy. So that being said, then after talking about his thinning hair, then he goes into his bottom surgery. So I'm going to start the video from there.
And as far as bottom surgery goes, so I had a complication, pretty within the first week of having surgery, which I have a good sized fistula, meaning there's a hole in my urethra.
Okay, there's the hole in the urethra. Again, pretty much all the dudes' complications, that's the number 1 complication.
In the last month or so, I noticed
Disgusting.
I've got another, it's kind of veering off to the left.
Wow.
In another area. I'm sure it's probably been there for a while. Maybe I just now noticed it. So I'm pretty sure there's another fistula.
Oh my God.
So I did have an appointment with one of my team members at Kaiser, last month, and we talked about stage 2. I've been working on getting electrolysis done still on my arm.
Because remember what I told you? They have to take a big chunk of your arm skin out, and if there's hair on it, they can't create the penis with hair on it because it will grow into your urethra and cause tons of... So you got to make sure that everything is clean. I mean, it's just too... Like, I think there's 4 or 5 stages to phalloplasty.
That's also probably another thing that's changed too, is the hair on my arms are definitely thicker than they were way before. I always used to shave them, but now that I'm doing electrolysis, I have to keep them kind of grown out. So definitely changes there as well. But talking with my nurse at Kaiser, we're going to shoot for probably January. I should be done with electrolysis by then. And she'll give me the green light for ready to go. Hey guys, Flynn. So transition update, complications update, I should say.
Complications.
I saw the doctor on Friday. Very long day. I saw 2 doctors. First one, she basically said that in her experience, she doesn't know that the hole, because it's pretty large, she doesn't know if it is going to bridge the gap and come together. And in her experience, it may have to be sewn closed. The other, she did another test on my urethra to see if there was any fistulas forming, which basically is a hole in the urethra, and or it starts to go a different route other than where it should go through, which is right through the tip of the penis. So she basically squirted like a lidocaine / saline solution in the tip and watched and see if it went through and out the hole that's now down there. She said it did kind of dribble out just a little bit out of a small area. So
wow.
To her, that was caused sign of a fistula there. Not a large one, but as of right now, that's what it looked like to her.
Which can cause infections, which can cause more complications. Notice everything is complications. It's not a complication. It's all plural.
If I were to have surgery, she said at minimum like 3 months.
Wow.
So I might have to extend my leave to get that repaired.
Wow.
And I guess they kind of do it like a transplant list. Because I have complications, if I do have to have surgery, they put me at the very top of the list. And so those who've already had this stage and haven't had any issues, I hate to say would get bumped so that I can get mine fixed.
It just goes on and on. He's just going on and on about this complication and going back into surgery, and I have to wait 3 months, and then another one comes. It's already hard enough to transition. I just don't understand adding this next layer of complication to your transition. And this is one of the reasons why I have always been so outspoken about not getting the surgery and just keeping my vagina and learning how to deal with it as a man. And it has helped so many trans guys write me and tell me, thank you, Buck, for having that conversation. And, and I just want to reiterate, it's not that I am telling you not to do it. You go right ahead and do it. What I'm trying to do is show you that you can actually live your life without going to a space like this to have all these complications. Work on your dysphoria. I had the same dysphoria that you had, and I worked on it so hard that I let it go. And I don't think these people are getting enough mental health therapy to walk through this. And why is this need to have a penis so bad when this is what's going to happen to most of you?
I've had an infection for 4 weeks. Let's talk about it.
My God.
It's currently 3
almost 4 a.m. and I am 4 weeks stage 3 phalloplasty. Now, if you don't know what that is I got an arm graft taken to create my phallus down below.
There you go.
And I recently got a device implanted that will help me get
Erect. It helps
so
them get erect.
that happened 4 weeks ago, and I got one testicle implant as well as a pump that reaches into a cylinder that fills with saline to help me get
Erect.
So why have I had an infection for 4
Yeah.
weeks? Well, when the device gets implanted, there's a lot of bacteria that can possibly get involved.
What?
And when that gets implanted, because it's a foreign instrument, it can oftentimes cause an infection. So
Often.
this is manifested for me as a low-grade fever for the last 4 weeks. I think I'm finally on an antibiotic that's working. It's been the 3rd round of antibiotics.
Wow.
So, if by chance these antibiotics don't work, the next stage for me would be to get the device re-implanted, which obviously I'm not hoping to do,
Oh
but
my God.
that would be the next step if I needed to take it.
Now, do I regret this? No. I feel so much more comfortable with my body.
Sure.
Because of all of the surgeries I've gotten, especially this last one. And I know that being erect is a big priority for me and leaving my gender dysphoria. So, no, I don't regret this. But, yes, I've had an infection for 4 months.
Do you all know what I think it's called? Do you know what I think it's called? Cost sunk fallacy, where basically you're too far into it to come back. And okay, I'm gonna just say, fine, dude, you might not regret it, but there's something in my heart, and I'm gonna just give you my opinion that I don't believe you in any way, shape, or form. I think that if you now have the chance to not do it again, you probably wouldn't do it. There's no way you're okay with this. I've watched your whole TikTok. You're in and out of the hospital constantly, in and out and in and out and in and out, and now you move somewhere far and you have to take a bus and a plane to go see your surgeon in California because it moved to like somewhere else. And
My dick don't work. POV, I have to go see my surgeon, post-op fallow, stage 3. Now, usually we would just drive down the highway, but recently we moved to Washington, and my surgeon is in California, so we hopped on a plane, and we went to go see him because I was in pain every time I wanted to get erect. I haven't done a fallow update in a while, but things have been kinda rough. Not gonna lie, I've been having issues with my perineum, where there's lots of skin issues and pain, but I seem to be able to manage that with some lotion and trimming and cleanliness. But I'm having a lot of issues with my erectile device. It seems to be that it's bunched up at the base, causing it to not fully go into the tip and get erect. I will have to get this fixed.
you know, no way. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And really, you did all this just to get an erection? This is why they create products that are called, I don't even know if I can say it on YouTube, but I'll bleep it, called a dildo. Seriously, like, really? Come on, man. I just don't believe it. I just won't. I will not believe that this guy feels completely okay with all of this stuff he's been going through, the infections, the having to possibly have resurgery again, all of it. Nope, I don't believe it. Nope. So the next one I have.
All right, guys. So we got another update. So the problem that I'm having and that they saw in the test is that I'm not emptying out my bladder all the way. So I'm peeing, but I'm not emptying it completely out.
Wow.
And I know that I've been doing that because I've been feeling that I haven't been emptying my bladder out all the way. Like, it still feels like I have to pee.
Wow.
Not like in a way that I have a bladder infection, but it feels like I still have to pee, but I kind of just don't because I can't get it to finish for some reason. So because of that, they're gonna go in what's called the voiding trial. So I'm basically gonna start peeing on my own, but at the end of each pee, I have to take my cap off of my catheter and then measure the pee that's left in my bladder. And if it is a lot of pee, then the surgeons have to get involved. So
Did you notice he also has another catheter inside of him? And then now, if it doesn't work, the surgeons have to get involved.
hopefully that's not the case. But by Monday, I'll know.
Wow.
So I have to report back on Friday about how much pee has been left in my
Wow.
bladder every single time I've been peeing today, tomorrow, and Friday morning. And if it's a lot, then the surgeons have to get involved. But if it's not a lot, then I should be fine to proceed to go back to work and to schedule my stage 2 bottom surgery.
Oh my God. So he's not even finished. He's going, this is his first stage. Remember, it's 4 stages. I would be so over it. I just can't even understand. How are you enjoying your life? Okay, so then I have this guy. I mean, I could show you so many of these. I can't fit them all in the thing because there's just not enough time.
It basically feels like I'm peeing my pants. It feels like the pee is going how it went pre-bottom surgery, through its little path. And then I'm expecting the feeling of it releasing out at its previous urethral opening, which is no longer there, but instead it keeps going. And so for a little bit, there's like this delay as it's going through the longer urethra, and it feels like it's pooling there. It feels like I'm peeing my pants, even if I'm not wearing pants. And it is a very uncomfortable sensation. The first time I did a voiding trial, I did it in the shower, and it burned so bad. It wasn't very euphoric, but afterwards, you know, it is.
It wasn't very euphoric. You see what's happening? How does any of this sound fun and awesome and trans joy and penis joy? How does any of this sound like that? It sounds insane and wrong. I just want to bring this last one up so that I started with, so that you don't forget where I started. Because this is very, very important part of this conversation.
Now, bottom surgeries, these are huge money makers. Again, I think this has to be an underestimate that they're quoting around $20,000 for a phalloplasty. There's been different things that I've read that said it could be up to $100,000. Dr. Winokur, who's our surgeon, says that there's entire clinics where the entire clinic is supported just by their phalloplasties. And that is like a fraction of the surgeries that they're doing. These surgeries are labor intensive, they require a lot of follow-ups, they require a lot of OR time, and they make money. They make money for the hospital.
If that right there doesn't make you see what is going on in this whole trans, gender-affirming care, medical scandal, this is what's happening, okay? It is. It's about money. It's about patience. It's about lifelong patience. They don't like people like me. I went in and out. I'm done. I have to just take my hormones, everything else. I take care of I take supplements. I take things. I work out. I take care of myself. I'm super healthy. They don't like me because I'm not their patient. Okay. So that being said, I just wanted to expose to you. I do not believe this is a healthy part of transitioning, in my opinion. You can push back on me all you want. And if you got it and you're happy, I'm happy for you, friend. But we got to be honest. This stuff isn't what everyone's trying to make it out to be. And a lot of you young people are suffering from getting this surgery. And so I just don't like the fact that there's just so much dishonesty going on in the trans healthcare system. It's disgusting. I've been wanting to talk about it for a long time, and it's disturbing and on so many levels. And it's something we don't talk about. And we only talk about men. We never talk about female. But I just can't even believe how many there are. It's shocking. And a lot of them are teachers. And a lot of them target young boys. So with that, thanks so much for liking, subscribing, joining the channel, all that stuff. Let's just get right into this.
Smiling in court. That is a former South Carolina kindergarten teacher and theater director who's accused of grooming and sexually abusing a boy for years, starting when he was just 14 years old. This video per WYFF. When the boy's mom faced her in court, she called her unhinged.
Looking back, it sickens me knowing Nikki manipulated her son and our family. She was waiting on this opportunity, and she found the perfect victim and family to prey on.
That video per Upstate News Today, and the victim in this story is not hiding what he told cameras after his alleged abuser appeared in court. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
So I have a video I'll show you later on of this young boy who's now older and an adult. And I don't know why we just don't talk about this. And I don't know why. I mean, it's there. I mean, I watch Long Crime and all these, I have this, I think, thing for true crime. But that being said, it just seems like daily there's another teacher or another person in a position of power with these young people that are just abusing these kids. And on so many levels, it's sick and it's wrong, just like when men do it. It's the same thing. It's sick and wrong. But I wonder why we don't seem to have the conversation about it. And I wonder why. Well, I found a video that's going to explain, this person who's a professional is going to explain the sort of motives that are different from male predators, obviously, and female predators have different motivations and different ways they do it. So, I found so many, it just was shocking. It didn't even take me that long to find this stuff because it's just like one after another after another. And I was just like, I mean, really, I'm just, my head is spinning from it. It's just disgusting. So here's the next one I have.
Hey guys, just know that I miss you very, very much. I know a bunch of you have reached out, just checking in on me.
That was Sarah Jackas, a middle school math teacher who's now accused of having sex with a 14-year-old boy in her classroom.
I just can't take it. My kid is 13. He's in middle school. And I just keep picturing the teacher in the middle school and in the classroom, in the actual classroom. Do you think that we, on some level, do you think that we trust women more? Do you think that it feels as if women are more trusting and they're not going to abuse these kids? Do you think that's why it just seems like more of these women teachers are getting away with this? And I wonder if we don't question women as much as we question men.
I dig into the details of what Jackas is accused of doing to the boy and when, and how detectives say social media is involved. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Sarah Jackas was a math teacher in Florida. She taught middle school students the basics of middle school math.
Wow.
Take a look.
You have -10. So what you have to do is you have to bring over that -10 plus 10 over here. When you rewrite it, you can do the -54y, put plus something, and then put the plus 10 on the outside, and you put 0.
Now she's accused of having sex with one of those students. And over the last week, she spent several days in the Orange County Jail in Orlando. Detectives say she groomed and later had sex with a 14-year-old boy who was a student of hers at a middle school in Orange County, and that she communicated with him using messages on Apple and a Bob the Builder Instagram account. Yes, Bob the Builder, the kids' TV show character. That student is now 16 years old. And earlier this month, deputies say he told his parents that he had sex with Jackas when he was 14. Jackas was teaching at Corner Lakes Middle School at the time in the fall of 2022. Deputies say that the student was having issues fitting in and hanging out with the right crowd. So he ate lunch with Jackas in her classroom.
Oh my God.
Now, deputies say that Jackas started to isolate the boy by not allowing other students to come in and have lunch with them. And so they formed a strong bond. They would talk to each other about their problems. An arrest affidavit says the inappropriate relationship started back in 2023. Deputies wrote, Sarah gave victim 1 her personal number so she could be contacted by the victim. V1 and Sarah would communicate through text messages about topics, but was...
See, they literally go after like very specific kids, right? Ones that are isolated, lonely, maybe can't make friends. And like who at that age doesn't feel important when the teacher's bringing you into the classroom, right? The teacher's pet. And then it's just like a whole, again, I'm going to keep going back to, do we question women teachers as much as we question male teachers? In my opinion, we don't. It feels to me like we better start, because there's so many of these teachers that are doing this. It's just, it's insane how many there are.
She was trusted to teach, to guide, and to glorify God. But now an Alabama teacher at a Christian school has been arrested, accused of having a sexual relationship with an underage female student. The school's own mission statement promises to, quote, equip students to glorify God in all they do. But investigators say Sarah Logan may have done just the opposite. Police say there may be more victims, and they're urging anyone with any information to come forward. I'm Kennedy Walker, and you're watching Law and Crime. She was a teacher at one of Alabama's most prestigious private Christian schools. Now, Sarah Logan is out of a job and facing criminal charges after being accused of a
out of a job? She better be in jail.
Relationship with a student. According to their website and social media accounts, North River Christian Academy promotes a mission of Christian-centered education, aiming to prepare students to glorify God in all they do. But investigators say Logan's alleged actions are anything but God glorifying. The 35-year-old wife and mother was arrested on July 18th after the parents of a female student contacted the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office, according to WVUA. They told investigators they had discovered their underage daughter was allegedly involved in a sexual relationship with Logan. The case was referred to the Violent Crimes Unit.
Wait, did I miss something? I think my brain out the girl. It was a girl. It was a woman teacher in a relationship with a girl. Oh my God, you guys. Wow. Are we all throwing up at this point?
Her 5th grade teacher accused of having a baby with one of her former students when he was just 13 years old has entered a plea. This is a shocking case of alleged abuse that is hard to believe how she is answering to the charges. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We unfortunately cover several cases involving teachers who are accused of having sexual relations with students. They are always shocking, but this story in so many ways is on a completely different level. This week, Laura Karen appeared in a South Jersey courtroom to answer to the charges against her and enter a plea. Before I get into that, let me get you caught up on how we got to this point, and there is a lot. Let's start with the teacher at the center of this story, Laura Karen. She was a 5th grade teacher at a public elementary school in Middle Township, New Jersey, which is in the southern part of the Garden State. Now, this story broke in January of this year, and it broke in a very unique and explosive way. The father of the alleged victim, who we'll talk about, went on Facebook, and he posted that Karen's 5-year-old son looked very similar to his son, and frankly himself, as if one of them was the dad. Now, Karen's son was born in 2019 when the father's son was just 13 years old. Karen was 28 years old at the time. I'll get into what police have allegedly found out that is building a case that the now 5-year-old child is in fact the child of the then 13-year-old boy.
Wait, what's the name of that other, Latruno, that woman who had the famous story of the teacher who got together with her kid and then they had a baby together, and I think she ended up dying of cancer or something. But it's another one of those. It's an actual another one of those. Insane. I hope I'm not freaking you all out, because I just am freaked out by this whole thing.
This high school teacher, already facing charges for an improper relationship with a student, is now under even more serious legal fire. 51-year-old Jennifer Massey, a former art teacher, was arrested after authorities discovered her allegedly engaging in activity with a juvenile. Deputies were called to a construction site for reports of a suspicious person. What they found was a shocking scene. Massey was allegedly caught having contact with a student. She was arrested and put behind bars, but now new charges are being filed, including sex trafficking. If convicted, Massey could spend years in prison. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kennedy Walker, and I'll walk you through the details. You're watching Law and Crime. Former Texas art teacher Jennifer Massey, first charged for an improper relationship between an educator and a student, is now facing a string of new serious accusations. The 51-year-old was first arrested in October of 2024. According to deputies, Massey, a former teacher at Davenport High School in San Antonio, was found at a home under construction where she was allegedly engaging in sexual conduct with a male minor. She was arrested at the scene and charged with improper relationship between an educator and student.
An improper relationship with an educator and a student, and then she's in some house that's being built having sex with a child. Oh my God. It's just, disgusting freaks. Okay, before I move to this next one, I just want to warn you. This one is, these are all gross, but this next one, there's just nothing I can even say. I'm really actually speechless because I can't get my head around it. I cannot get my head around an adult attracted to a child. I don't get it. But this, you're going to see next level creepy freak weird.
I'm very truly sorry for my involvement in this heinous crime. I know my actions were very immoral.
A Washington County woman has been sentenced to prison following a child abuse investigation that began nearly 3 years after the crime occurred. 31-year-old Alexandria Wright appeared before District Judge Keith C. Barnes on Thursday. She was sentenced after pleading guilty in April to 4 felony charges, including aggravated sexual abuse of a child and producing a video of the abuse.
You know, these horrible cases come before the court, and somehow you find a glitter of light at the end. Somehow there's a layer that you're able to pull something positive, but not in this case. There's just layer and layer of pain.
The abuse took place in October 2021, but the videos didn't surface until nearly 3 years later, when her co-conspirator, 26-year-old Martin Brandon Gillen, was arrested in Kansas on an unrelated kidnapping charge. During that arrest, investigators located videos on Gillen's phone that showed a child being abused in Washington County. Wright was located and arrested 2 months later.
I'm not the monster that the news and everybody's making me out to be.
Yeah,
though.
you are.
I would have never committed anything like this willingly.
To the charge of sodomy on a child, a first-degree felony. The court hereby sentences you to serve 25 years to life at the Utah State Prison. On the count of aggravated sexual abuse of a child, first-degree felony, the court sentences you to serve 15 years to life at the Utah State Prison. The charge of dealing in materials harmful to a minor, a third-degree felony, the court sentenced you to serve 0 to 5 years at the Utah State Prison.
They're not saying it, but the child is a preschooler. Preschool. Okay, so I don't know why they're not telling you that, but it's a preschool child. Sodomy and all kinds of other stuff.
On the charge,
and they were filming it and probably selling it on the internet and like trafficking this child, a preschooler.
Aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor, a first-degree felony. The court sentenced you to serve 15 years to life at the Utah State Prison.
She's going to get her ass kicked. You watch. They are not going to play with her in that prison.
Charges to run concurrent with count 1, 25 years to life.
Wright also faces charges in federal court related to the same case. She is scheduled to appear in St. George next week for a hearing on possession and production of child pornography. Gillen was indicted in federal court and later sentenced to life in prison plus 95 years for multiple charges, including sexual exploitation of a child and kidnapping. For now, Wright remains in state custody.
You know, they kept saying minor. That's the problem with using the word minor. I guess, I don't know. That's a preschooler. Okay, the other ones are, not that any of it's okay. I'm just telling you the different ages, 13. Most of the other ones were 13, 14, which is also fucking disgusting. But that's a preschooler. And like, no, the bitch, him and her are going down in prison. They don't play with these freaks. They're done. They're probably going to have to go in isolation because thank God, at least that's the one good thing about prison. They take care of these scum of the earth. Okay. And they are going to rip them apart in there. So just know that. Okay. There will be some justice for that little kid in there. I just can't. So do you remember the first one I was talking about where the teacher abused the minor kid and now he's an adult? Well, this is now coming back This is the latest interview with him, and he is a young adult. So I thought it would be good to show this one.
It's a stunning moment as a teen speaks out about the years of sexual abuse he says he suffered at the hands of a teacher.
Just because I'm a man doesn't mean that it should be shunned away. Because I was a child, I wasn't a man. I was a boy.
Grant Strickland met the kindergarten teacher when he was 14 years old and auditioned for the lead male role in his community theater production of Legally Blonde the musical. Grant won the part. Teacher Nicole Callahan was the director.
I had to grow up very, very fast and get on a whole nother maturity level that I was never ready for and shouldn't have had to been.
Detectives say the teacher started grooming the ninth grader and pressured him into an inappropriate and unlawful relationship that went on for 2 years. She reportedly even signed him out of the school and personally drove him to rehearsals. Sometimes she drove him to a hotel. Other times they got together in a parking garage.
State your name for me, ma'am.
Nicole Callahan. The 33-year-old teacher wiped away tears during her first appearance in court in Anderson County, South Carolina.
You will have a no contact order with the victim or the victim's family. Do you understand the no contact order?
Yes, Your Honor. Grant, who is now 18, says he decided to come forward to put a human face on what he experienced.
This happens, and it happens a lot, and it's not just to women, it's to men too, and it happens to young children, and it's got to stop. I would never want someone to go through what I went through because I don't really think that most people would be strong enough to survive it because I almost didn't.
It's just everything he said, man. This kid's going to have to live with this stuff. We only talk mostly about abused young girls and then gross predator men, but this is a flip of the whole thing. And these people exist too, and they're disgusting. And we need, really, Long Crime does tons of it. Every day I'm like, oh my God, another one? It just blows my mind. So they are starting to expose them, and we do need to have this conversation. And this poor kid, man. So, good for him for stepping up. It cannot be easy. It cannot be easy for that young man to have to be publicly speaking about his abuse that way. And, he is going to just deal with some horrible aftermath of this. And hopefully he's getting some awesome therapy. This last one I want to bring up because I thought that it was really important. And this one is like 5 different crazy women stories, but they brought an expert on, and he says something that I find to be quite important. So listen to this.
But something's going on. We see male predators all the time in our stings, right? And people always ask, do you ever find a female predator? Well, I think the difference is the female predator doesn't like the anonymity. They like to know who their target is. And that's why we see so many in the teacher-student realm. But if I had to define what all these women have in common, I think it has something to do with the female predator wanting to relive or control, a certain part of her life that was pleasant.
Interesting.
Maybe that first sexual experience, or maybe they're getting back at someone in their lives, and they're going to take advantage of this and exploit somebody who they can easily manipulate. Or maybe it's a power thing in some respects.
A lot of them have families, or they're in relationships.
We had a case, Jesse, and I think we may have discussed it here several months ago, where there was a teacher in Tennessee who was actually married to a sheriff's deputy who was accused of this. And the allegation was that she had actually become pregnant by one of the students who is the victim in this case.
What they said was kind of interesting and important, so we can start to understand the difference between a female predator and a male predator, and what their motives are, and why it seems to be they're always these women in these kind of power positions, right? Where I guess it is with men too on some level, but teachers or counselors or music or art, or where they're in an instructional, where a kid is looking up to this person as somebody, and they maybe feel trusting of the teacher, right? There's a trust level there that happens with the kids. So that was exhausting, to be honest with you, but I think extremely important to bring that to the world's attention. And I hope that you appreciate me bringing that to you. A hard conversation to have, but a very important conversation to have.
Oh yeah, hi there. I'm Noah. I'm 23.
Yeah, I'm a detransitioner. I transitioned male to female at 18. I was on hormones for about 4.5 years. And like I detransitioned about 7 months ago. I go to college.
Wow.
I like strategy games. I don't know. There's
Okay. So wait, how long were you on hormones for?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. Wow, that is so. Well, so first off, thanks so much, Noah. I super appreciate you trusting me with the story, and it just breaks my heart. I don't know. We're gonna get into your story, but I just hate this whole trans space. I'm a 63-year-old female who transitioned 33 years ago. So, it's really heartbreaking for me to see young people get into this situation. And so, again, I just really appreciate you trusting that I'm here to sort of bring your story to the forefront so that other young people don't necessarily go down this route. So with that, why don't you just tell me a little bit about why you chose to transition? We could start there.
Yeah, I think there was just like what I'll describe as like this, soup of psychological and social factors that like predisposed me to like develop a trans identity, right? I had a pretty normal, like happy childhood, honestly. No complaints really. Went to I was in like a small community, went to this small private school. I guess I was nerdy. I wasn't very good at sports. I don't know. I never felt like super included amongst the boys. It's like male social hierarchies are sort of when you're a child. It's basically based around like sports and everything. So, I never like felt that connected to masculinity just because of those early experiences. And I think that's just like a predisposing factor that you have to have in order to develop a trans identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess it's hard to overstate how much like not being good at sports like affected me because like I played baseball when I was in elementary school, and then I was pretty decent at it when the coaches were pitching, but then like when we moved to kid pitch, I got like nailed by it, and like I could never like do it well again. So but in general I think I was like pretty happy. I wasn't like honestly terribly gender nonconforming. I didn't have like severe dysphoria growing up or anything. I think really I was pretty happy until like 7th or 8th grade. I started to develop some mental health issues. Like our family dog got cancer and died, and it was like really sad, and it sort of like set off this cycle where I'd go through like periods of depression followed by, periods of like just like ups and downs. I guess. Okay. So in middle school, I had like boys as friends, but that's when like, I started making friends with different types of people. And like, I found myself sort of drawn to like, the kids who were going to grow up to be kind of queer. Right. Like I was really into like Steven Universe, and like, I feel like everyone around me sort of felt like I was like queer or in some way, but they couldn't, quite figure me out. Yeah. So then I also think there was just this latent idea of myself as a woman that was floating around in my brain. I don't really know why.
Do you think that you were influenced by any other people around you? Well, let me ask this. Were you on social media?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that there were all of these factors floating around, but that metastasized into a trans identity when I kind of got like exposed specifically to these like online Reddit communities, like RMTF. Have you heard of the Gender Dysphoria Bible?
What?
Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, look, it's this document, and it's basically supposed to be like an overview of like gender dysphoria and what it is. And it's written in such a way that I feel like anybody who has like some subconscious desire to be trans could re-narrativize their entire life to convince themselves they have gender dysphoria. Like, have you heard of the button question? Like,
no.
They do this question. It's like, if you could press a button and change to the opposite sex, like, would you press the button? And if you would press the button, that's taken as like evidence that you might not be cisgender, basically, right? But
dude,
but I'm serious. No, that's how these community like
Is this like on Reddit and all
yeah.
of these? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like RMTF, and you know, the people are like say like, oh, these online communities, it's just online, but I was like a chronically online teenager, you know? There's a lot of chronically online teenagers. We live in like a sort of atomized society, you know?
Yes.
Yes. And so, you know, like I had this, you know, latent desire to be feminine. It started when I did like a face app swap, like, you know, the face app things, like.
Sure.
I did the face swap and I looked at it and it just made me feel really happy for some reason. I couldn't like, I couldn't really explain it. But I didn't really consider, transitioning until I sort of, I got exposed to like some pro-trans media, and like, I had always been more liberal, but I didn't really know anything about it. And it was when I found out more about it, that was like the first stage. And then there was this moment where I was like, okay, wait, am I trans? Am I trans? Like, how would I know that? And I Googled it. And as soon as you Google it, you basically end up in these online communities.
So the question, you Google the question, am I trans, or something like what makes me,
like, how do I know if I'm trans? Yeah.
Then there's all these links that take you to like Reddit or other, or can you like give me does it say like so if I Googled, am I trans, would it say you're trans if you...
The first thing that shows up is like, you know, stuff from like the Mayo Clinic, like symptoms of gender dysphoria, right?
Okay.
But well, you know, that's the first step though, is you look at that and then you're like, okay, well, I want to look at experiences from trans people to see if I connect with those, right?
Right.
And so, you know, so like, if you may have doubts, like, you know, I might have doubted like, well, I wasn't super gender nonconforming as a child. But if you go into these communities, you find like, oh, all these other people weren't actually that gender nonconforming as a while. Like, this person lived for 30 years as a man and then transitioned. So like, you know, is it really that it basically, like, have you heard of the idea of your egg cracking?
Oh my God, that's the one I have heard of, dude. I want to barf.
Yeah.
I actually want to barf. What?
Yeah, it's like these, there's like these Discord servers that I was in, and there's literally like people, there's like egg cracking, like Discord servers where people who are questioning come in and they talk to people, and like, but like the thing is, people have motivated reasoning to kind of like they believe they're trans, so it reinforces, you know,
that's right,
their idea of it. And the thing is, most people, I think, when they transition, a lot of them start out in these online communities, and then once it gets to a certain point in their transition, they kind of move on. And that's what happened to me. So I wasn't in these communities for like a long time. It was just for that like first year. It was about 8 months between when I realized I was trans and when I started hormones, and then like during COVID, that I was really immersed in these.
There you go. You just named like 3. Could you explain to the people what being an egg is? Like,
yeah. Okay. So, you know, there's this idea that you can one day come across the idea that you could be trans, right? And you connect with the idea, and someone who previously did not appeared to be like maybe a normal heterosexual man, they basically realize their egg cracks and they realize I have this inner feminine essence or whatever. And so it's like when you see someone who's questioning their gender, you would say their egg cracking is when they have the realization that they're trans.
Wow. It's so creepy, friend. Yucky. So there you are, 8 months, which is a long time, to be honest with you. So on some level, it is grooming. Do you not think this is sort of a grooming kind of thing happening?
I don't know if I like the term grooming exactly, because it has specific like material implications, but
sure.
I do think it constitutes sort of like maybe a cognito hazard almost.
Okay, gotcha.
There's a chance there's a chance you'll get sucked into it, and like, you know, it's not impossible to live a fulfilling life as a transgender person. It's just not ideal. Why would you transition if you don't have to, you know? Yeah.
Would you call it more of an indoctrination as opposed to grooming?
Well, I think the part of this is an important part of it. It's like, it's the ideology behind it. It's the idea that if you identify as a woman, you are one. Like, I came across this website, right, called Am I a Girl or whatever.net. And it's this website, and it's like, are you a girl? And you click a button and it's like, oh, you're a girl now because you identify as one. Wow. And that I think is because once that idea that you are like a woman just by virtue of feeling very strongly that you are, once that idea takes root, it kind of self-perpetuates itself. And like, so everything sort of just follows.
So wow, Matt. So for me, when I transitioned back millions of years ago, I had to go through a whole system, right? Which I call gatekeeping, which is so incredibly important. But I didn't do it until I was 30 years old. But I can tell you that when someone would ask me, well, what does it mean to be a man? I couldn't answer that. Or what do you feel like a man? I couldn't really answer that. I just wanted to. There's a difference in feeling and I wanted to look like how I look, right? But I always know that I'm still female. And that was always what we understood as you might know, I sort of don't call myself transgender. I call myself transsexual.
Yeah.
Because I do have a disorder. I feel totally solid in that, blah, blah, blah. I never changed my sex. We always knew that as transsexuals. Then comes along your generation where now they're saying to you, if you feel like a woman, you are a woman.
Yeah.
Absurd.
No, well, it's like, it's the thing is, it's one thing to tell someone like you can look like a woman, you can occupy the social role of a woman, you can be more feminine, you can occupy this trans feminine social role. That's one thing.
Yes.
But they tell people that you can be a woman in essentially the same way that females are women, and that's just not true. So that feeling that you have inside, that heart's desire, because I feel like most trans people, they want to be the other sex. They're not, that's what they really want. That's what their hearts want. And so when you tell someone that they can become a woman like that, you're saying that they can fulfill that feeling,
That's
right? But in reality, you can't. You have to be satisfied with sort of being a simulacrum of the other sex, almost. Like
Right on. You said it. That's exactly right. Like I said, I'm not a man. I never have been a man. I look like a man. I fulfill that role so the world sees me that way. So that's why I say it's assimilate. I assimilated into the world, but I know exactly that. That's why I always get upset when young people like you are being told, well, you can be a woman. Dude, you're never going to be a woman. I don't care how many hormones. So what? Okay, so here you are, 8 months in that space. And then how did you start to do the actual physical? Did you start a physical transition, like taking hormones? Okay.
So I made an appointment when I was still 17 at this informed consent clinic. It was during COVID. So the day after I turned 18, I had an online appointment. Okay. And that same day I had a prescription for estrogen, oral estrogen.
Online?
Yeah, online. I think you probably today would have to go in for at least one in-person appointment, but it was during COVID, so it was online.
Oh my God, dude.
So like that, that's how the informed consent model works. You can just give it to anyone who comes in. You just they'll ask you questions, but you know how to answer the questions if you want to get your hormones. So
do they teach you how to answer the questions on some of these forums, like on some of these transgender forums, like how to get through the system?
Well, people talk about it, right? Because often people have more non-binary identities, right? And they'll but they'll go to their doctor, they'll just say they're a binary trans woman or whatever, because it's easier to get care that way. But a lot of people they really more identify as non-binary, which I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the non-binary stuff because it's actually when I first realized I was trans. Initially, I thought that I was a binary trans woman, and then I sort of my parents did. We did a lot of talking. They really tried their best to dissuade me. Not even it felt transphobic at the time, but I don't really think they were being. I think they just knew it wasn't right for me. And oh crap, where was I? What was I saying?
Well, it's all right, my friend. There's a lot going on, a lot of information. Again, thank you so much for doing this. Some young person will hear this. So we were talking about the estrogen and getting into that, and then I said online. Do they? In these forums, do they kind of teach you how to navigate through the system? And then we were talking about non-binary and how I have the same thing as you. I have a mixed feeling about it.
The thing is, right? I kind of became convinced that I wasn't trans woman. Maybe I'm just non-binary, and I sort of identified as non-binary for 3 or 4 months. But that kind of provided me a space to I've been non-binary for 3 or 4 months. Well, I just sort of felt like I needed to fully transition in order to escape this male gender role that I felt very constricted by. So I wish I hadn't felt the need to identify like out of that, and I wish I just experimented with my expression and just stayed like living as a man. But I really felt like I wanted to be a woman, and it felt like I needed, if I took estrogen, that I would like be a woman. That's like what that's what I believe, because that's the attitude online.
That's the attitude, right? Trans women are women, trans men are men, right? That is literally what they're saying to you, which is a complete and total lie. That's why I say no child. To me, you're a child at 17, but 10-year-olds taking puberty blockers. What? They're like telling these kids you're going to be a boy, and that's just never going to happen for a little girl. She's going to grow up and realize I'm not really a man, or I don't have a penis. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? So at 17, you made an online appointment. Could you have gone into this space at 17 and gotten the hormones?
No, you have to be 18. But once you get 18, you literally it's just you sign a form and you get them. That's the model. Okay. There's no gatekeeping really. That is if you live in like a big city, basically. I live in a big city, so.
Okay, yeah. Well, other people I have interviewed at 16, they went into Planned Parenthood and got their hormones at 15 and 16 with no parental consent. Exactly.
Really?
Like,
wow.
Yes, it's shocking, dude.
That is shocking.
It is actually shocking, and they just got the hormones the same day like you and walked out. At 18, you're an adult. That's what we have in this country. Yeah. 18 is an adult. You can do whatever you need to do. So, but that being said, you're still young at 18. You don't know everything. And
no, my brain was not fully developed.
Oh my God. And and also you're having some issues. We used to have a thing called gender nonconforming. It was like you could be a feminine dude or a masculine woman, and we didn't have these stereotypes.
Well, what's ironic is that people still think that, like, oh, you can be a feminine man or a masculine woman, but at the same time, people, transition just like so it's like, if the gender roles don't really matter, like, why do you want to transition, right?
That's right.
This just speaks to some of the sort of contradictory aspects of the ideology.
The hypocrisy. There's a lot of hypocrisy, contradiction. They're always changing.
That's why there's constant like infighting right now, or like whether like trans men can be lesbians and stuff like that. The reason there is because the labels are contradictory anyways.
I know.
People are kind of fine with contradictory labels. Like
clearly they are. I mean, like I said, dude, I did it a million years ago. I did it. I was a lesbian, right? And I totally was like, I don't want to even be near that anymore. I want to be seen as a dude, as a straight dude. Well, like chicks, you know what I mean? And like, so I just don't understand this idea that now I'm going to be a lesbian. Look at me. Like what? Like these kids are so mixed up, and it's quite sad to me. So now you're taking estrogen, and that was interesting about your parents. So were you living at home during the summer? Or were you in college?
Yeah, no. I was living at home. It was my senior year. I started at high school. I started estrogen without their knowledge. When I was still living with them, they figured it out like about 3 months when like they saw that my chest wasn't perfectly flat anymore. And like, I mean, they were upset, but like I was an adult, and they couldn't really do anything. And that's the thing, is like, I don't think you can talk someone like out of a trans identity, really. It's like, it's not like, I'm honestly really glad that, they eventually started using my name and pronouns after a couple of years. And I'm really glad that we were able to stay in each other's lives, because my mom really pushed me to wait on getting bottom surgery until I was like done with college and like felt really settled as an adult. And I think that saved me from just making a seriously big mistake, So I'm glad that they compromised to like stay in my life.
So I hope you really enjoyed that interview. The rest of it is fantastic. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description of the video here so you can watch the rest of it. His story is so like, wow, just wow. Everything we kind of know about what's going on with these youngsters. He even said he was perpetually online, and, he got sucked into that whole space. But when you hear the story of how he started to detransition and why he started to detransition and what made him realize he needed to detransition, it's pretty wow. It's just wow. The wow factor is pretty much. But Noah's a great kid, and I would appreciate you can leave him some great comments of encouragement there. And he's moving on with his life, and I think he's doing really well. I keep him sort of in touch with him, and hopefully I'll be bringing more of these stories to the table. So with that, thanks for liking, subscribing. to the content so that I can keep bringing you more. And remember to check out my podcast channel, Buck Angel Podcast. And again, I'll put the link in the description of this video. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.